Hello guys and welcome back. I'm Dr. Harrell. This is our second episode in a podcast, Morning Coffee with Dr. Harrell. So today's episode is about one simple thing. It's about happiness. And the reason we're talking about happiness is actually twofold. First of all, as a couples therapist working with couples and individuals on the relationship, the reason people work on the relationship is because they want to be happy. Happiness is always our end game. And second reason we're talking about happiness is that once we take responsibility for our well-being, we free our partner from the burden of being responsible for our happiness. And this is a huge improvement and liberation for the relationship. It's something that alleviates a lot of burden from the relationship and from your partner and helps you be in charge of yourself, your inner state, and your relationship. So there's a lot to be said about the importance of us being in charge of our own happiness. So this is why we're talking about it. Now let's talk about what actually happiness is. Happiness is an inner state of well-being. That's pretty obvious. But often people think of happiness as something that comes from outside. If I only could have this car or this house or this person, this achievement in my career, that would make me happy. But actually, this is not happiness. Happiness is an internal state, is an internal state of well-being that comes from a certain mental habits and attitudes. So it's not the outside things, it's not life circumstances that make you happy. Life circumstances can bring satisfaction, excitement, but not really happiness. Happiness comes from within and comes from our mental habits and attitudes, which is awesome news because it means that you can be in charge, you are in charge of your own well-being. So that brings us to the how. How do we cultivate that state of happiness within us? I have about 8 key mental habits to help us create that inner state of happiness. So let's talk about them. First one is actually the biggest one, personal responsibility. That means that I am 100% responsible for my life experience. This one is huge. And the reason it's so big and so important is that because if I'm not in charge, then who really is? If I'm not in charge, I can't really change anything about my experience. So that one is a very important prerequisite before we can create change and well-being in our experience. We have to take responsibility, be 100% in charge. I am responsible. That's number one. Number two is acceptance. Acceptance means that when we are born, we are dealt a certain deck of cards, a certain hand. We get certain body, we get certain parents, we get certain circumstances in life. Acceptance means that I accept where I am right now. When you try to go somewhere, let's say you plan your trip in GPS, right? You log in your destination, but you also have to put in your current location. So acceptance is that knowing of where you're at right now on your way toward where you want to be. So acceptance is really important on your way to that well-being and happiness. Number 3, willingness to play. The game of life, of course. Willingness is the opposite of resistance, right? Think of anything that you really love to do, your favorite cake, your favorite ride in a theme park, anything. And now think of doing it while you're being forced. That probably will not be the most fun and enjoyable experience, regardless of what it is, right? So being willing is a prerequisite for the enjoyment and happiness in life. So being a willing player in the game of life, be wanting to engage, be willing to be part of that experience is a prerequisite to create that state of well-being and happiness. So number 3 is willingness to play. Number 4 is mind the gap. Mind the gap, which means there's always a gap between where we're at right now and where we want to be. We have certain dreams, desires, wishes, and every time we get what we really want, there's a new dream that is born. There's a new desire that emerges. And every time we reach the next one, there's a new one that comes into being. This is just part of being human. This is the very nature of life, the expansion, and the very nature of human experience. We are always in that crack between where we're at right now and where we want to be, because that where we want to be keeps moving, right? We keep wanting to expand. So getting comfortable in that gap is really important for our well-being, to create a state of happiness and well-being within us. So number 4 is minding the gap. Know that there's always a gap and get comfortable in it. Number 5, meaning and purpose. Now, meaning is not a universal thing. Universe doesn't have a meaning. Universe just is. It's the humans who are the meaning-making beings, for whom meaning is really important. So make your own meaning, find your own purpose. And once you do, make sure it's not just about you. Research shows that if your life meaning and purpose includes a bigger picture, if you stand in the service of others, it increases life satisfaction. So find your meaning, find your purpose, and make it about, not just about you, but about others, about the planet. Make it bigger, and then it will be something that will bring more of well-being and happiness, in a life satisfaction into your life. So number 5 is meaning and purpose. Number 6 is really obvious. Seek inspiration. Find what feeds your spirit. Maybe it's your hobbies, your career, the music, the arts, the people around you, whatever it is. Find what feeds your spirit and fill your life with as much of it as possible. This is something that will create well-being, fulfillment, fullness of your experience, and will be definitely a huge contributor to your own personal happiness. So number 6 is seek inspiration. Number 7, you probably heard these terms before: awareness and mindfulness. These are big ones. Those are important mental habits. We have to be aware of our current experience. And by experience, I mean three levels of experience: the mental experience, the emotional experience, and the physical experience. We have to be aware of what are the thoughts that are cooking in our head, how these thoughts impact the way we feel, and how it is reflected in our body. So there is this connection between our thinking, our feeling, and our body, and being mindful of it, being aware of it, is an important part in changing it. If we want to be happy, we have to make adjustment and change patterns of our thoughts. In order to change the patterns of our thought, we need to know what this pattern is. So mindfulness helps us recognize what are the thoughts that we keep thinking and adjust these thoughts to create a better experience for us emotionally, to create a state of well-being and wellness. So, and there's so much that has been written about it, so there's much more to be said about it. 7 is awareness and mindfulness. Number 8 is super important mental habit of appreciation. So we have to train our mind to look for things that we can appreciate, look for positive things in our experience that are wanted, that are desired, that we have warm feelings when we recognize them, things we can appreciate, be thankful for, be grateful for. This is a habit. These things are there. And we're not talking about grand things. We could talk about small things. Your meal that is delicious, a sip of water, the beautiful skies, a good conversation, a smile from a stranger. It doesn't have to be big things, small things to appreciate. You have to train your mind, create a habit. You have to train yourself to notice these things and savor these things and focus on those things. This habit will set you on a path of creating a consistent state of well-being and happiness for yourself. Actually, there are 9 mental habits, not 8, like I said in the beginning. And number 9 is really, really important. And I made a point of including it. Number 9 is meditation. So meditation, again, so much has been written about it. There are so many different kinds of meditation. Find one that feeds you, that inspires you, that you like, and just do it every day. The consistency, the consistent application of this principle is really important. Now, why meditation is so important? Meditation creates a gap between your day-to-day mundane experience and your deeper core self. Think of an ocean. When the ocean is stormy, when there is stormy weather, on the surface of the ocean, it's really rough. There are waves, there's wind, it's pretty rough on the surface. But now imagine a diver that dives deeper into the depth of the ocean. The depth of the ocean is always tranquil. And the meditation is something that helps you dive deeper into the core of yourself and get in touch with that inner peace and tranquility that is always there. That transforms your experience, and when you do it daily, it changes the way you relate to yourself and the way you relate to the world around you, and that will transform your world and your relationships. So meditation is super important. Lots of people are lazy about doing it. This is something that I cannot emphasize enough of how really important it is. So number 9 on your path to happiness is meditation. Now, how to practice all these 9 habits? You practice it by picking one for a week and applying it in all situations. So let's say the first one is responsibility. Take this principle of responsibility, personal, 100%, no excuses responsibility, and apply it to everything you do. Apply it to your conversations with your partner, with your coworkers, with your boss, in the supermarket, with your conversations with yourself, to your circumstances in your life experience, to everything. Personal, 100% responsibility. Apply it, own it, absorb it, and once you make it your own, move to the second principle and go one by one, each principle for a week. Fully absorb it. And as you apply those principles, I want you to pay attention to 2 things: your inner experience, your mood, right? And your outer experience, the people that come into your life, the relationships with the people that are in your life, how they will be changing, the circumstances in your life that will be transforming. This is a really powerful process that can transform your life experience in ways that are way beyond what you might expect. So try it on, apply it, and see how you do. I would love to hear more about it in the comments beneath the video. The comments is what keeps this conversation going. Instead of me talking to you, I would love to speak with you, for us to have a conversation, for me to be able to get to know what are your thoughts, and for us to be able to talk. So comments are awesome. So today we talked about happiness. We talked about happiness not being a result of life circumstances, but being a result of your mental habits and attitudes. If you like the video, share, comment, like, subscribe to the channel, and I'm looking forward to see you guys again very soon. This is Dr. Harel. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.